Last time you saw us, we were driving the most scenic road in Florida and showing you 10 stops we made on the loop. Now we're heading up the coast to cover several stops close to St. Augustine, all within a few miles of each other. Our base camp is a little state park tucked into what seems to be a remote area, but still close to several things well worth visiting. We developed some strong opinions about this park and Florida in general, but we'll talk about that later. Have you ever saw a place that you knew was a tourist trap, but you just had to stop anyway just to make sure? The next day we headed to St. Augustine. We've been here before, but it's one of those places you can visit many times and still find great things to do and see. Being a lover of bridges, I was pretty excited to drive over the Bridge of Lions. It's gorgeous. Built in 1927 to connect St. Augustine with Anastasia Island, the bridge gets its name from the carved lions that guard the bridge. Traffic getting into St. Augustine over the bridge is slow. Built by the Spanish, Castillo de San Marcos is the oldest masonry fort in the continental United States. The Castillo was begun in 1672 and completed 23 years later. It replaced 9 wooden fortifications that were continually destroyed. These forts protected St. Augustine from pirate raids and the British. It's spring break, and we've broken our rule about visiting busy places before 10 a.m., so it was crowded. The tour of the fort is self-guided and signs throughout, and a few people in costume to answer questions. You can also download the National Park Service app and walk through the fort using the app to explain each area. Having a park ranger explain how the fort fits into history was pretty helpful. The most fascinating information was how the fort was built with coquina, and its surprising ability to protect from cannonballs. In 1702, the 1,500 residents of St. Augustine sought refuge during a 52-day siege to fight off the British. The next day, we were hoping the rain might detour the crowds. We showed up early to our next stop. Ferry rides to the fort are limited and fill up fast. Entrance is free, but you must get a boarding pass from the visitor center at the fort.
A little more about that when we get over there, but first, you'll be boarding a Coast Guard inspected vessel heading into a federal facility. There are more rules.
Just 15 miles south of Castillo de San Marcos, Fort Matanzas is another fort built by the Spanish during the European struggle for power.
We're going to go back further. We're going to go back to the late early 1500s. The Europeans, the Spanish, have, much to the chagrin of the folks already living on this side of the world, they have discovered the New World, Central and South America, the Aztec, the Mayan, the Incan empires. Now, what did the Spanish take from those folks that brought them back again and again? What did they take from the Aztecs and Incans? Gold, silver, chocolate. You're absolutely right. Now, you load your ship full of gold, silver, and chocolate. Hit the high seas. Who's coming after you? Pirates. Remember, pirates are going to come into our story in a little bit. All right. Any of y'all grew up in Florida? Any of y'all grew up in Florida? All right. When y'all were smaller, did y'all dig holes in the backyard? Great. Great job. Excellent. How much gold did y'all find? Oh, man, yeah. My siblings and I, same thing. We dug holes all over the backyard. Our folks yelled at us. We don't have any gold here in Florida. we have is the super highway back to Spain, the Gulf Stream. All those ships full of gold, silver, and chocolate are coming off the Spanish Main, squeezing between the Bahamas and Florida, coming right up the coast here on the way back to Spain. 1513 comes along. Juan Paz Leon swings on by, and once again, much to the chagrin of the Timucuans and the other folks who've been living around here for 12,000 years, he discovers La Florida, the land of flowers. Now, back in those days, Florida goes north, all the way up towards what's now Canada. Heads west, out to the Mississippi River. So all that Europe knows of what's going to become North America is Spanish La Florida. Pirates are generally kind of lazy guys. They're going to come on into town, steal what's left behind, burn the town down, then they're leaving again. You come out of the woods with all your valuables. You rebuild the town, and you wait for the pirates to come back and burn it down again. So that's what's going on with the Spanish in Saloy and St. Augustine in the 1500s. 1600s come along. The British arrive on the scene. And the British are worse than any pirates out there. They're not only stealing our gold, they're stealing our land. They've stolen Virginia from us. They've stolen Massachusetts from us. They are trying to steal Thanksgiving from us. But we don't know. Thanksgiving happened here in September, 56 years before any of that November business up there. Now, when the British attack, it's different than pirates. When the British attack you, they come in and they steal your home and they steal your land. And they do not leave. So our tactics will change with the Castillo in place. When we're under attack now, instead of grabbing everything and running out in the woods, we're going to grab everything and run inside the Castillo. The Castillo is a siege fortress. Now, in a siege, whoever starves first loses. That's how sieges work. And that's where this river comes in. The Matanzas River is the back door into St. Augustine. The British do attack. 702. More from the Carolinas comes down to attack us. So while everybody's running inside the fort with all their food, all their valuables, a group of soldiers running out of the fort, they're going to get in a boat to go get us some help. It will take that boat, that crew, 10 days, 2 weeks just to get there. And we win! Now the British are really sore losers. 1740, Oglethorpe, Georgia comes back to attack us. Except this time, we don't have to run all the way inside the fort with all our food and valuables. When we rebuilt the town this time after the British burned it down, we built a wall around the town. So we just have to be ready to run inside the fort in case the wall fails. But the soldiers, they're still going to head on down to Cuba to get some help. The fleet, the troop supplies, they're going to sail back up to save the day. And when they get off the inlet here, Oglethorpe has stationed warships out here. He has blockaded the inlet, closed our back door. We can't get those supplies into town. They send them to the watchtower. Hey, your supplies are here. We're going to retreat south, Mosquito Inlet. Come on down and get them if you can. St. Augustine is under attack. It's getting hungrier and hungrier and hungrier.
Fort Matanzas' purpose was to protect the southern approach to St. Augustine. It proved its worth in 1742 when cannon fire from the fort held back the British looking for warships. Well, with all the talk of defenses, war, and hardship, I was ready to take a look at a peaceful garden. Washington Oaks Garden State Park is just down the road from Fort Matanzas. It's only cost $5 for vehicles with 2 to 5 people. What you see today was left by Owen D. Young, founder of the RCA Corporation and chairman of the General Electric Company, and his wife Louise. They bought the property in 1937 and used it for a winter retreat. Mrs. Young donated the property to the state of Florida in 1964 following the death of her husband. It's a beautiful property. Sadie couldn't walk with us through the formal gardens, so when we passed this park, we decided to check it out and do some hiking trails so we could stretch our legs. The 90-acre preserve offers some nice, well-marked trails to walk. With so many things to experience, there's very few things I want to do more than once. But walking around St. Augustine is so unique. Founded in 1562, St. Augustine is the oldest continuously occupied settlement of the European United States. It was settled 42 years before the English Jamestown and 55 years before the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. A lot of people are surprised by this. It wasn't taught like this in early textbooks. Anastasia State Park is a pretty cool place to paddle. To get into the park, it costs $8 per vehicle for 2 to 8 people. The water's open to the ocean, so you'll see sea turtles and other animals you'd find in the ocean. And there's a tide here. Way cool. This was a unique experience for us. We stayed away from the oyster beds along the shore so as not to damage our boat. Did you know that one oyster can filter up to 50 gallons of water per day? It was a Goldilocks day. Not too hot and not too cold. If you've been watching, you know the Hubs really likes playing in the water. I was content walking along the beach and watching the birds. Up until this point, we haven't spent much time in Faver Dykes. Each side is wide and the park is beautiful. In fact, this state park only has 30 sites, but many of the sites were unused when we were here. Of course, there are the usual signs alerting you to snakes. By the way, we didn't see any. But the park has a bigger problem. Yes, folks, ticks. This park has permanent, big signs about the ticks. And since we've been picking ticks ever since we set foot in Florida, we had been cautious here. Within the first half hour of being here, I found 2 Lone Star ticks crawling up my leg. I've investigated every bump and mole on my body and searched out places I haven't seen in, well, you get the picture. But it should be fine doing a bike ride and staying in the middle of the trail, right? It seems like we end our stays at the state parks with a paddle. This isn't intentional, it just is how it ends up.
Child, innocent as starlight, veil spread against the moon.
After seeing the largest alligator we've seen to date on our runs, we opted to turn around. Maybe it's time to leave Florida.
Struggling with roots.
Join us next time as we move up the coast to Georgia. We'll let you know how our tick situation turned out. And by the way, now we have an ant problem.
Can someone tell me what oblivious means? Because I have no idea.